Hey there, avid listeners. Thanks again for tuning into Sin's Workshop. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. All right, so today we're going to be talking about From Fire and Shadows by J.F. Batiste. This is a book that unfortunately made it onto my did not finish pile. I had a hard time getting sucked into the novel, and my philosophy is, if you're struggling to get through a book and it's not getting better for you, you should just put it down and just forget about it. Life is too short to be wasting it reading things that you really don't enjoy. And that was me with this book. I just thought it was very poorly executed right from the beginning. Well, no, that's not true. I thought that opening segment was very intriguing, but what really kept throwing me, throughout the story, and it served as a bit of a distraction, was Theodora, your main protagonist, is supposed to be 6 years old. Right from the beginning, she does not sound 6. She sounds as if she's 16. At least, she sounds like a young adult, not a child. So I just had a really hard time wrapping myself around that, because I'm supposed to be able to connect to the character, and I was unable to connect to the character because of how she sounded, which is unfortunate. I only made it a quarter way through this novel, in case you're wondering. I was just very, very distracted throughout the story. And, it sucks because that opening segment was really strong. But again, her being 6 years old but sounding like she's 16 really threw me, because there's really no context. It's okay for kids to sound older than they are, but it has to be believable. You have to, as a reader, we shouldn't be forgetting that the child is a child, because that just kind of separates us from the storytelling. It creates this barrier between us and the story, unfortunately. And that's the part that really sucked for me, because I really wanted to like this book. I thought the premise of it was incredibly interesting. I was like, oh, I need to read this. And then I started reading it, and then I was horribly disappointed, which really sucked. I know. Don't you just hate that when it happens? You get a book you love, or you get a book you're really highly anticipating, and then you just can't even finish it. And the thing is, on Goodreads, the book has a pretty good review. I think it has a 3.67 rating. So it's pretty decent. It has decent reviews, and on the first page, all you're seeing are 4-star, 5-star, 3-star reviews. And I'm just sitting here looking at those reviews, and I'm just like, what did I miss? Like, why was I unable to connect to this story? You know what I mean? Because I always like to do that. Whenever I feel really terribly about a book, I like to see, am I the only person that felt this way? Or, for me, a lot of the things I'm talking about right now, that characterization, that's what did it for a lot of people. They like the characterization. I'm like, I couldn't get around it, unfortunately. But I like to think of literature as artwork. It's open to interpretation. Everyone is going to feel differently about it. If you don't like a book that everyone else likes, you shouldn't feel shame for that. Not every book is for every person. It took me a long time to figure that out. I was just like, I have to read it. I have to finish it. I have to finish it. I'm almost 30. I have a to-be-read pile that's never going to end. I would like to read those books that I love. You know what I mean? So I just couldn't wrap my head around Theodora. So that was the first separator between me and this story. The second was the world building. It had absolutely no world building to me. I was so confused. I was just like, how does this world function? How do the politics function? Because there's magic, and there are different sects of magic, and each sect of magic, they can do something different. So I was just confused. I was just like trying and struggling to understand how this world works, because in the beginning it feels like magic shouldn't exist with the way that they're kind of treating Theodora with her magic. So I was very lost and a little bit confused. I was just like, okay, so is magic supposed to exist or is it not supposed to exist? I was a little confused by that. So I didn't really get a sense of this world that the author was trying to build for the storytelling. And then you have Kai, all right? I don't know why Kai is in the story. I only read 2 segments of his before I put this book down. And you know why? First of all, again, no world building. Again, lack of characterization. And then what really set me off was his story seems completely disjointed from Theodora's. His story doesn't even feel like it's in the same world as Theodora. So I was just like struggling to understand that. It didn't mesh. They weren't cohesive. It really felt like 2 separate stories were written, and then the author decided, oh, let me just put them in one. I'll use his segments to break up her story. I didn't get it. I didn't like it. I couldn't wrap my head around it. What's more is within his segment of the story, there is language. The author, she creates her own language, which is fine, but you have to include context when you're writing. The reader shouldn't be forced to go to the back of the book to look at the glossary to figure out what's being said, what's going on. We need context. Context is important. It is everything if you're going to do your own kind of language, because we as readers need to have some sort of idea of what's being said, of what's going on. We need to know something, You don't need to have blatant translations like, oh, he said blah, 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 right? Really good writers can include the context subtly so that readers can understand what is being said, what is being read. We understand what's going on. Again, I think this connects back to the lack of world building here and the lack of cohesion with the storytelling, because I was just lost. And the fact that I gave up going to the back, because first of all, that's distracting to me. I shouldn't have to do that. No reader should have to do that. Maybe I wasn't reading carefully enough. I don't know. I just didn't like it, unfortunately. And I wanted to. I really, really wanted to. So, from Fire and Shadows, unfortunately, it only gets 1.5 stars from me, because it has potential. I see the potential. I see it there. I think the author has a really good idea. I just think it was executed very poorly. So that's that, unfortunately. Yeah, only 1.5 star. There were too many elements. The characterization, the lack of characterization, lack of tone, lack of a really strong fundamental narrative and cohesion to wrap the whole story together. It just lost me. It was just so distracting. I just wasn't able to connect to it at all, unfortunately. So if you want to go ahead and purchase the book, I recommend purchasing it from your online book retailer. I cannot find. It was published by Books Go Social. I received this book from NetGalley. There should be an Amazon link. I've tried looking for it on Amazon. Everywhere, I cannot find this book. So if you really want to read it, I recommend looking for it, because every book deserves to be read. Every book does deserve to be read. Just not by me. On that note, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast and share it with all your book loving friends. You can also become a supporter on Anchor FM, my recording platform, for $1 a month. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and as always, happy reading.